Good day, my name is Leon and thanks for tuning in to our training video. Today I want to deal with the new settings available on our sampling template. This is applicable to the manual sampling as well as the automated sampling templates within RAC. So whether you're using Audit Lite Plus or RAC, the process is going to be the same. Now the question came out of firms that were doing interim audits, where they would go and select a sample at interim with a portion of the population, and then when the final audit came around they needed to draw another sample, but then what was happening is they're being forced to apply the suggested maximum sample size twice instead of once. Whereas if you were just going to audit at the end of the audit or end of the financial year, you'd have one population and you'd test 20 items. So basically it was doubling up on the amount of testing you eventually did on the same population. So we've gone and added a few settings to enable you to effectively split the suggested maximum sample size across multiple working papers. Now please, a word of warning, do not use the setting if your intention is just to try and reduce the amount of work you're doing. If you don't follow this up with a working paper to show how you have still complied with that maximum sample size by showing the sampling in the first, sampling in the second, and in fact you need to do a complete reconciliation of the population of your first test plus the population of your second test to show that at the end of the day those populations are right. So we have this population check built in, but that's not going to work out correctly. It's going to show you differences between the trial balance and the population. So you need to manually go and perform your own population check at interim, add those final values and prove that you've actually tested the trial balance value. The problem can happen that the client goes and backdates postings after you've done your interim, which is going to be a huge problem. So please make sure that you correctly deal with this selection, this setting. Alright, now the idea is that when you get to your interim audit, you need to calculate 243, the suggested maximum is 20, but I want to save 4 of those tests for when I get to final. Okay, so I go and select 4 here, and what it effectively does is it reduces the suggested maximum to 16. But what it also does is it forces this to become the minimum sample size. So you can't now go and say 15 here. Okay, obviously you can't because it's 243. But let me show you another example. Let's say you got to interim and your suggested sample size is 3 basically, and you go and use, say you're going to test 4 later. Well, how can you say this at this point? Why are you even using the table? Because you just test 3 now, and when you get to final you can go and just test however many the suggested sample size is. Okay, if you got to final and suddenly instead of 3 the suggested sample size is 100, then you could go and say, oh okay, but hang on, I tested 3 at the beginning of the audit during the interim, so now my maximum is 17, and you can then prove that initial sample of 3 plus a 17 still gives you the 20, which is the suggested maximum. You will see now that once that says 17, I can't type in a value of 3 here anymore, because this now becomes the minimum as well. It's trying to force compliance so that you're not fudging and trying to get around. The problem exists is, let's say you tested 16 before. You're supposed to test 4 now. You can't now decide I only want to test 3. You have to test those 4, so it'll force you to select 4. Okay. Alright. So typically though, if you get to this point and it's 2.57 to go, don't go and test 20. Don't try and use this table. Rather just test those 3. Alright, let's say we now get to our final audit. As I said, we go and we say, I tested 16, there are 4 to go. I have to test 4. Okay, if I try and put in a 3, it's not going to let me. I have to go and test those 4 items. But typically you're going to be in a situation like this. Suggested sample size is 38. I'm now in final. I've tested 16 before, so instead of 20 I now only need to go and test 4 more items and then those two together will give me the 20 items that was originally my maximum. Okay, once again, a caution, guys, please don't use this to try and reduce your sample sizes. You will get into hot water. And once again, as I always caution in any training, if you are using our sampling methodology, please make sure that your firm sampling methodology is in line with our methodology, basically. So you can't go and use our methodology if your firm's quality control manual doesn't agree or accept our sampling methods. If you are wanting to look at documentation around our sampling, go open up a working paper. You'll see that there is a sampling guidance document. It's a PDF that you can then go and print, and even if you want to, go and incorporate it into your firm's manual. But if you want to go and understand our methodology, please go and take a look at the methodology guidance document. Alright, great guys, thanks for listening. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. We're always more than happy to help. Thanks very much. Goodbye.